It's now time for the Billy C. Show, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening, I hope you're doing okay today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Men on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of this book right now while you're watching or listening to this very show. Whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening, just go to Amazon.com. That's your best bet. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by BillyCBoxing.com. Check it out. All the latest boxing news, plus shows you might have missed. We can link you right up there. You can register for our podcast and all that happy stuff. So check out BillyCBoxing.com. And today's show is also being brought to us in part by this year's 2024 New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. And I'm inducted. I'm so excited being selected to be part of the 2024 class of the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. And I want you, yes, you, to come and join and share with me that great day that we're going to have September 15th at Russo's on the Bay, a fantabulous restaurant. And hey, listen, if it wasn't for all you guys, I wouldn't even be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I need you guys to enjoy the night with me. So get yourself a ticket and come on and hang out with me. I'm actually I'm going to bring some books. So if you don't have a book, I'll hook you up with a book and all that stuff. So visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the banner that's Jeremy made. That's got a funny looking version of me, or maybe it's just the way I look. I don't know. Click that, and it'll take you to right where you can get all the information about the event, September 15th. It's going to be a great, great event, and I want you to join it with me. So please get yourself situated. Bring your family. Bring everybody, but we want to see you there at Russo's on the Bay, September 15th, and join my day and all the other inductees. Johan Guzman is going to be there. Rocky Frado, a guy that I promoted some shows and had some fighters on. He's getting inducted in the class. All the information about the whole class, if you click that banner on Billy C Boxing, you can find it. Give a shout out to my man Joel. He's just popped in the chat room. If you're watching, we are streaming live on a couple of different platforms. So come on over to the YouTube chat room. Give us your thoughts. Today's topic is about PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs in boxing. My question is, can it ever be controlled? Can we really ever control it? I'm going to get to that a little bit later. We're also going to take a look at the heavyweight landscape. And I just want to give you a programming note. We will not be doing a live show next week because it's the 4th of July, man. It's the 4th of July. Everybody's going to be out blowing their hands off with fireworks, eating plenty of hot dogs, all that happy stuff. So we will be doing that. All right. So first and foremost, before we get into this, I just want to mention some fights that I'm going to be watching this weekend. My man Coach just popped in there in the chat room, so shout out to him. Some fights I'm going to be watching this weekend starting tomorrow on DAZN. Fernando Vargas Jr. Yeah, the Fernando Vargas's son. He's going to be fighting. He's 14-0 with 13 knockouts, 27 years old, in the junior middleweight division. He's coming off his last fight is a win over Brad Solomon, which he fought in March. He's taken on Juan Carlos Cordonez, who's 14-4, but he hasn't fought since 2022. But I'm looking forward to seeing Fernando Vargas Jr. On Saturday on DAZN, Marco Captain Huck, who I always used to like to watch as a cruiserweight, he did move up to heavyweight. He's taken on Evangelos Lazardias, who's 19-5. He's 36 years old. Listen, Captain Huck, he's returning to the ring after almost a 4-year absence. His last fight was a 10-round decision over Dennis Ledowski on August 29th, 2020. Huck's 39 years old, so we'll see how that goes. A fight I'm going to be watching as well Saturday on ESPN, Teofimo Lopez against Steve Claggett. I'm sure Claggett's going to come to fight, and he's got always got a chance because he's that kind of a fighter. But I think he'd have to have the fight of his career to beat Teofimo Lopez and wrestle the WBO junior welterweight title from him. But the fight I'm going to break down and talk about a little later on the show, Juan Francisco Estrada taking on Jesse Bam Rodriguez for the WBC junior bantamweight title. As you know, or maybe don't know, Bam Rodriguez is moving up in weight. He gave up his titles in the flyweight division. Now he's in the superfly. But anyway, yeah, coach is saying that about Vargas. Yeah, I know, but he also hasn't fought in quite a while, but he's still moving up junior. So, you give him a pass. He has a right to have a pass at least a couple of times. But and I agree with that Chocolito, Bam Rodriguez is the new Chocolito, Roman Gonzalez. So I'm looking forward to that fight. All right. So PEDs, okay? PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, have been infiltrating all sports. And let's take a look at the reason why. First of all, just to get you up to date, Ryan Garcia fought Devin Haney, beat the hell out of him. And regardless of the situation that he had, 1/1000th of a whatever, however they measured it, of something in his system, nonetheless, he came up dirty, and the B sample came up dirty. And the New York State Athletic Commission suspended him for a year, and they changed the fight decision of his ass whooping over Devin Haney to a no contest. So now Devin Haney's happy because he's undefeated again. And I'll tell you something. I wasn't a big fan of Devin Haney until the fight prior to the Ryan Garcia fight. I liked Devin Haney. I thought, he showed some skill. But during the Ryan Garcia fight, and I do not think it had anything to do with the PED that they discovered, the trace of it. I've lost respect for Devin Haney. He's a boring fighter. He doesn't have any power, and his father is a nuisance. So, it is what it is. And then yesterday, or maybe it was on Tuesday, the Nevada State Athletic Commission suspended Julio Cesar Martinez, another fighter I like, for 9 months because he tested positive for a banned substance found in his blood for his last fight against Angelino Cordova. And his fight was changed to a no contest. Now, I'm not sure what the situation was with that one, but the New York State Athletic Commission actually knew that Ryan Garcia had a trace of that banned substance in his system prior to the Devin Haney fight. And they waited for all these samples to come back, and then they issued the decision by suspending him and reversing the outcome of that fight to a no contest just recently, last week or the week before. Now, in my opinion, I kind of agree with Thomas Hauser. And Thomas Hauser wrote a piece. Thomas Hauser's probably the biggest thorn in the New York State Athletic Commission's side since that story of the thorn in the lion's foot that the mouse pulled out. But anyway, I think that I do agree with Thomas Hauser that if the New York State Athletic Commission thought it was an issue prior to getting, all of the harassment they received, from what I understand from some of my inside contacts with the New York State Athletic Commission, from Bill Haney, who's been nothing but a pain in the ass to everybody involved, plus anybody else. I mean, the guy is in my opinion, bad for the sport. I mean, the only thing I like about him is that he dogs Mayweather all the time, which I love. But the truth of the matter is the New York State Athletic Commission should have made that fight not even happen if they were going to follow through after pressure from Bill Haney and some others to do something about the Ryan Garcia situation. They should have just made the fight so it couldn't happen. So what? People lose money. So what? I mean, if they're supposed to be looking out for the well-being of the boxers and the fans and everyone involved with the match, then the money should be the secondary thing. But no, it's not. The money drives the sport. Can we ever think that PED use could be controlled and banned from the sport of boxing, or any sport for that matter? I personally think the answer is no. N-O. I do not think that they will ever be able to control it. And the reason being is that, we have so many designer performance enhancing drugs right now. So, what you're talking about is commissions that have to be ahead of what somebody might conjure up as a performance enhancing drug that's not on the banned substance list. So until it becomes discovered, so to speak, it's not illegal. So, what's the number? I mean, does anyone know what the actual number is of fighters, or any athlete for that matter, that are able to use performance enhancing drugs before they identify it, that mixture, and ban it? You can't, suspend somebody from using a substance that's not on the banned substance list. So there's always going to be, with the technologies that happens today, it's always going to be a mix that is not detected. So what's our options, right? Well, I've said on this show before, and people have disagreed with me violently, that should we say, go ahead, do what you want, juice up, baby, juice up. The risks. That it can cause damage to you. That it could ruin your life later. The risks. You want to take them, take them. Listen. The problem with performance enhancing drugs is when one side takes them and the other side does not. That is when there's an issue, right? But if both sides were allowed to take them, there wouldn't be an issue. So does that make sense? Are we all a bunch of liberals that have to dictate that everybody knows better than the people that are getting into the ring? And I say that because, for things like something as silly as a seatbelt law, right? Here in New York State, it's a law that you got to wear a seatbelt when you drive, right? Well, the powers that be, whoever they may be, decided through crash test dummies and all this other stuff that it's safer to wear a seatbelt than not. So someone made it a law. So is that a violation of our rights? I mean, if I want to take a chance and drive in my vehicle without a seatbelt, and my percentage of injury goes up because I'm not wearing a seatbelt, since when isn't that my choice? Well, for the last 25 years, it hasn't been my choice in New York State because somebody knows about my safety better than me, or someone wants to make that decision for me because they know more. Just like there's political movements where people want to make decisions for students, for kids, because they feel they know more about that kid than mom and dad does. Okay. So, I'm opening up a can of worms, I know. But the fact is the fact that someone is policing performance enhancing drugs in the sport of boxing. Now, the intent is to make sure that it's safe across the board. I'm fighting you. You're using PEDs. I'm not. They're trying to protect me. I respect that and accept that. But in every professional sport, especially boxing, people are always looking for an edge, right? We're looking for an edge. Maybe a training method, maybe a diet, a nutritional method that they switch to that gives them an edge, whether it's physical or mental. They got an edge, right? Uh, so and then it comes to the point where you have certain people that want the edge so bad that they're willing to cheat. They're willing to cheat. The rules state you can't use performance enhancing drugs, but if I could get away with it and nobody can see it, it's like the tree who falls in the forest and nobody heard it. Did it really make a sound? Shit, yeah, it made a sound. Of course it made a sound. Well, if you knowingly are going to cheat, you're still a cheater, right? But my point is that, if we have to police everybody and everybody's looking for the edge, does it make sense to make it legal? And here's the problem. You'd have to make it fully legal, that they would be able to use anything. You can't just say, okay, boys and girls, this PED is legal and this one is not. This one is legal and that one is not. Because then you're going to have the same situation as it is right now, that there are going to be guys and gals that are going to be trying to beat the system, you know. Um, so Coach, of course, is telling me that the seatbelt rule protects the insurance companies. Okay. All right. Well, my point with that, Coach, that I guess you missed was somebody else made that decision for us. So if I don't want to wear a seatbelt, I shouldn't have to. If I want to get off my lawnmower without it shutting off and risk cutting my friggin' hand off because I'm a stupid ass and I want to pull a clogged leaf out of a running lawnmower, I should have that prerogative. I'm just saying, I wouldn't do it. But my point is that people are doing the thinking for us, and everybody's all worried about artificial intelligence. Well, what do you expect? They don't even let kids learn multiplication tables in school anymore because they have a calculator or they have a computer or they have a phone that does it. So is that helping us or hurting us? Personally, I think it's hurting us. We're becoming a bunch of dumbasses. I mean, you can't even go into a bar and make a bet with somebody and win or lose without somebody Googling the answer. Is that good or bad? you know um no, it's not like an NFL player choosing not to wear a helmet, because that's a league that you play in and that's a rule. Okay. And if it was a rule, they, at one point before helmets were mandatory rules, there was plenty of uh, players still playing without a face mask, without a helmet, et cetera, until they made it a rule. So, if you want to look at it as a rule, you can't get a driver's license unless you wear a seatbelt. Okay. You can't get insurance unless you wear a seatbelt. Okay. I'm sure many people still drive around with it. It's not about friggin' seatbelts. It was just an example. But you know, PEDs. He says, Coach is saying, how about PEDs like the same day weigh-ins is supposedly protect fighters, and now we have men fighting women. Well, don't even get me started on that. The same day weigh-in, I'm all for a same day weigh-in. And the reason is because then we'll have true weight classes. All right. A welterweight's going to weigh in at the same day, and he's going to only be able to hydrate a little bit. But the day before weigh-in, some people's bodies can lose a lot more water weight than others, and rehydrate 10, 15, as much as 20 pounds the next day. So now I've been ringside. I've been at fights where I'm sitting there looking at the two fighters, and one guy looks like a light heavyweight, and he's fighting at welterweight, and you can see the size difference, But anyway, back to the performance enhancing drugs. I do believe that they are never going to be able to police it fully. They're not, and it's going to rely mostly under the fighter and the morals of a fighter. I just said that there's going to be plenty of fighters that want an edge, and they're willing to do whatever they need to do to get that edge. Personally, I think that. I think that it's going to be very hard to police. It is now, and it will continue to be as long as people are mixing up other concoctions of performance enhancing drugs. You know, um, it's just it's a shame. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but my point is if it was not illegal, what would we have? Would we have, assuming that they still have to make the weight, you're going to have guys that can go in there and crush each other. But if you're fighting against an opponent that's taking the same stuff, doesn't it even it out? I mean, to me, it would be more even than one guy taking performance enhancing drugs and another not taking them. That's when it becomes an issue for one and not the other. I don't know. I don't know. The truth of the matter is that it's hard to police. And I don't believe, and this is just my opinion, I don't believe that they will ever be able to police it the way we all wish that it could be policed. If there was no way to, create performance enhancing drugs that are flying under the radar, that not on a list, if there was no way to do that, then maybe we have a shot at policing it. But as far as I know, there's no way of doing that. Now, if they were able to come up with some type of a test that could test anything that is not in your system, that's added to your system, I should say, and make that illegal. Okay, do we want to go that far? Do we want to say, different nutrients, different vitamins, different fluids, all those things, because they contain something, even though it's not on a banned substance list, is foreign to your body? I mean, maybe that's the way to police it. If you're going to be a professional fighter, maybe say, okay, listen, you can't put anything else in your system except for normal foods and water. I mean, what was it? Who was it? Was it Juan Manuel Marquez? Or no, I think it was Canelo that said he tested positive. He said it was in the beef that he ate or something. That there was steroids in the beef. And I've heard conflicting reports on that. Where you can't get it like that. I don't know. People failing a drug test, when they were eating bagels that had the seeds on them, the poppy seed bagels, and they would test positive, and they said, oh, I had a bagel this morning. Well, I remember a study saying you'd have to eat 5 bagels a day for 6 months before you would test positive for a drug from based on the use. So, you hear conflicting stories. I think one of the saddest things is you have one of the most notorious performance enhancing drug guys ever now working to help so-called help boxing commissions combat it. So I think that I think it's just very hard to police. Yes, I think that there should be ramifications, and there should be some penalties thrown down and suspensions and stuff if you're caught. Maybe that will deter it. But like I said, you get some guy that says, "Listen, I can whip up this. It'll help you, not get tired. It will give you more strength." And it's not on the banned substance list, so it will be after this fight, but it's not now. It becomes an issue of the man or the woman, whoever's fighting, or the combo of both. Is it up to them? Is it their moral character? I just listen. My opinion is that they will never be able to police it, and they're always going to use it. And just like you can drink a Gatorade, and they advertise, "Oh, the Gatorade will replenish your system quicker than water because it's got this, and the other thing in there." Well, performance enhancing drugs are going to be with professional athletes until there's a way to totally police it, and I don't think there is. Shout out to my man Brett, who just popped into the chat room, longtime listener and viewer. Glad to see him. Yeah, I think that that's my opinion. So what's yours? Drop me an email, Billy at Talkin Boxing, TalkinBoxing. I'll read it next show, which is not the 4th of July, the following week. Papa says Roy Jones Jr., Holyfield, Mosley, and Vargas all tested for PEDs and nobody cared. Yeah, I know Holyfield. I mean, listen, he was in the beginning stages, and they weren't even testing at that time. So yeah, you got a point, Papa. You definitely got a point there. It's the same thing in sports until they found out. A lot of these guys in the 80s were using them. It was new. It was helping them. Then you got the scapegoats, the guys that in boxing that are getting suspended or getting their fights erased. Same thing happened in baseball. I mean, look at Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens, admitted to using steroid use, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, yeah, okay. Did it all help him? I mean, was steroids the reason he was so dominant for all those years? I don't know. I think a lot of the athletes start to use them as they age because they feel they're slipping a little. But I don't know. I've never used a performance enhancing drug, never needed to. It's just, my point. I hate to say it, and I know a lot of people. I tell you one thing. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but is it safer to allow it for the fighters, assuming that they're both going to use it, and is that easier, or is it easier to try and police it? And you give them an inch, they take a mile. So if you say, okay, you can use this one, and that one, somebody's going to be trying to up it, so you'll never be able to police it. My bottom line is I stick to my opinion. You're never going to be able to police it. And a fighter that takes the risk of being caught has to understand that they're going to lose their purse. And by the way, it's such a scam because when a fighter signs a contract for a purse, and I'm going to use Ryan Garcia as an example, right? He signs a contract for the fight, right? So the commission, and in New York State, you have to submit the fight contract to the commission if you want the commission to be able to support it, right? And support it if you make a claim, So when Ryan Garcia's contract got submitted, it was the contract submitted to be paid by Golden Boy, right? So he had to forfeit that part of his purse as part of the agreement that he made with the New York State Athletic Commission, in addition to having the fight changed as a no contest and him being suspended for 1 year. But that's not all the money he made. The other money that he made, the other revenue, is still his to keep. And a lot of these guys will make far more money from outside sources than they will from the promotional agreement, from the TV or pay-per-view or streaming revenues, So, it is what it is. Yeah, but love it saying, here's my take. If you're not talented without PEDs, you're not talented with them. Um, it's at the edge. I listen, all of these people, whether they're in boxing, baseball or football or whatever, they're athletes that are already above and beyond, well above and beyond the normal person in that field of play, right? They're already the upper echelon. It's an edge they're looking for. Just like a basketball player might want to get a better pair of sneakers because it's got better grips, or they feel they can jump higher, or whatever. It's an edge that they're looking for. They're looking for an edge. When good trainers make their fighters run road work, not on a treadmill, actually outside. And the mental part was always, well, look, you trained in the rain, you trained in the snow, you trained when you didn't feel good. Did he train? That's their mental edge. That's an edge that they go into the fight with. They bring on a big time name to work their corner. They feel that that's an edge. They bring them in. It's all mental. But with performance enhancing drugs, yeah, part of it is mental, but part of it's physical. And, if one side is using them and the other side is not, that's when it becomes dangerous. So I ask again, does it make sense to say, go ahead, do what the hell you want? You want to risk your health, you want to risk your future, you want to risk all of that. And the fighter that's fighting you is in the same boat. They both sign a waiver. It is what it is. So I think that the truth of the matter is that you're always going to get fighters. Don King, my man John, is in here. This isn't about Garcia, John. I mean, the truth of the matter is I was just using him as an example because him and Martinez were the last two that have been affected. I'm saying overall, you're never going to be able to police it. So the type of person that wants to cheat, because that's what you're dealing with, right? You're dealing with a cheater. You're dealing with somebody who wants to go above and beyond the rules. And yeah, coach, boxing has rules. And the truth of the matter is that, the rules state that you can't use any performance enhancing drugs, right? You can't use them. That's against the rules. So if you are caught, you're going to get fined, you're going to get suspended, you're going to lose the result of the fight, all those things. It's the same thing. If you go out in the street and you shoot somebody, you're going to risk going to jail. Unless you're in New York, they let you out for nothing. You could go do what you want and, whatever. But, the truth of the matter is that's the risk. You want to go commit a crime. The risk of getting caught and paying the price is what you're going to pay. Well, it's the same thing with performance enhancing drugs, right? If you're going to take the chance and you're looking for that edge, I think that fighters or any athlete that decides to take the chance, that they think that they're smarter than the commissions or smarter than Nevada testing or whatever, and they want to fly under the radar. I think it's a mental thing. I think that they're either not sure of themselves as the athlete in their field of play, or they think that the opponent in boxing is going to beat them. Whatever, they need an edge. They need something stronger than running outside, and they decide to cheat. And that's what it boils down to, a cheater. So I don't know. Email me, Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and give me your thoughts on this, and we'll see what happens. Because truthfully, like I've said, I don't think you're ever going to be able to police it. And I just think that it's an impossible thing. It's an impossible thing to expect to police it and keep up with it, unless they come up with some kind of a testing system that is basically impossible to mask or get away with. And until that happens, all these so-called PED experts that are helping helping police it or help the commissions. Maybe they should help them try to come up with a way to test so that even something that's mixed up, before the fight that's not on the list can be detected too. So anyway, interesting topic. And, it was brought up today only because of the most recent suspensions. But personally, I don't think they're ever going to be able to police it fully, at least the way we would like it to be policed. I mean, hey, listen, if it was up to me, I'd rather not have any fighter cheat in any way, shape, or form. Remember, before performance enhancing drugs, they would do other things, I mean, be taking when they used to have horse hair in the gloves, taking the hair out to have more less padding on your fist. Maybe back in the day, they used to wrap their hands with plaster of Paris. I mean, listen, there's been cheaters throughout the history of sports. Okay, there's been cheaters. I mean, it's something that you're gonna have to deal with. You're never gonna get rid of them. There's cheaters. There's cheaters in the political world. There's cheaters in the sports world. There's cheaters everywhere. There's cheaters in marriage. I mean, the truth of the matter is it's hard to police. If you want to police stuff, whether it's going to be regular police speeding on a highway or something like that, or performance enhancing drugs, you got to have a system that's going to be able to police it. And then you're going to have people that say, well, you're infringing on my rights. You can't have that guy watching to see if I turn my light out when I'm supposed to, or somebody like me saying, I don't want to wear a seatbelt. I wear a seatbelt. But my point is that somebody else decided it was safer for me based on statistics. And as Coach pointed out, insurance companies. But, I'm dealing with some people right now with insurance companies. They've been paying their insurance premiums for years and years. We had a couple of storms run through this area, and now they're trying to get paid for a homeowner's insurance, and they don't want to pay. So listen, it's not all about the insurance companies. It's about the safety of the fighters. And the truth of the matter is I'm not so sure that you'll be able to safely police PEDs in the sport of boxing ever. So, hey, if you're not doing anything September 15th, come join me and the rest of the New York State Boxing Hall of Famers from 2024 at Russo's on the Bay. Just go to our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the banner, and we want you there. All right, let's take a look at the heavyweight division real quick. So here's what happened. Usyk was forced by none other than the IBF to fight Danny Dubois as the mandatory, and he decided not to because he's got the deal to fight Tyson Fury again, which is scheduled later this year. Hopefully it'll happen. So he vacated his title, and as a result, the IBF has made Daniel Dubois the champion, which I got to be honest with you. I know he was the guy that was in line to be the next title challenger. But how do you give? I mean, I totally disagree with IBF President Darryl Peoples to do this. Look, he could be, the interim, champion. I know he was the former IBF interim champion, but titles need to be won in the ring. Who did he fight for the interim belt? I don't know, but was that his last fight? I think it was. No, it was. I actually forget. Somebody help me out here in the chat room. But my man Rick popped in. Dave says, yeah, the winner gets Chisora. Yeah. I don't know. The bottom line is Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois are going to be fighting for the for the IBF World title. It's taking place at Wembley Stadium on September 21st. I like the fight, but I don't like it now. It's going to be an interesting fight. I think, you see, I like Daniel Dubois, but I don't think he's ready for Anthony Joshua. Yes, he's got the power to knock out Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua has a suspect chin. But I do not think that Anthony Joshua is going to really let Daniel Dubois get in that close, even if he tries to bully him and get in there. Anthony Joshua is a talented boxer. He showed us a form of himself against Francis Ngannou, which I hope he maintains because he's going to be tough to beat if he does. It's an interesting fight. I think it could have been made at another time, but it is what it is, and it's taking place on the 21st. I'm looking forward to it. I love the heavyweight division, and the undercard is stacked with a lot of all Brit fighters. And what I like about this is they're all coming off of good performances, like super featherweight Anthony Kakachi. He's fighting, Hazmaz Shiraz, who beat Austin Williams. He's taking on Tyler Denny, who just won last week. Liam Smith is going against Josh Kelly, and Joshua Butazzi is going against Willie Hutchinson, who just won recently. And Mark Chamberlain, who just won on the last big fight, is taking on Josh Padley. So I love the card. Looking forward to it. Now, when we take a look at the rest of the heavyweight division, we're in a pretty decent place right now. So, I mean, look, I'm going to look at the only champion, in my opinion, right now is Alexander Usyk. Okay, he's the champ. So then, when you start looking at the fighters, this is what I have, like the top, 10 or 12 fighters in the division. Anthony Joshua, right? He's one of them. Ajit Kabiel, he's one of them. Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker, Jared Anderson, Zhang. You got to include Zhang. Martin Bakoli, who's a good fighter. He's in the mix. Frank Sanchez, even though he lost his last fight, if I was part of that team, I would have never even let him in the fight because he had it was an obvious problem with his knee or leg or something. And thanks, Hugovich was the one that fight was for the interim belt. I actually thought that it was prior to that last fight, but so if I'm Team Sanchez, I wouldn't have fought the fight because if I wasn't 100%, he ends up picking up a loss. But he's still one of the major players in the heavyweight division, in my opinion. So's Effie Ajagba, another young fighter. Filip Pugovic, who we just mentioned. And two other fighters that I think you have to mention is Fabio Wardley and Frazier Clark. Now, these are the two Brits that fought each other in a great fight, and they're trying to put together the rematch. Now, you could make an argument and say, well, what about Deontay Wilder? How about Joe Joyce? How about Dillian White, Otto Wallen, and Dave's favorite fighter, Derek Chisora? Pulov just came off a win. Look, I'm talking about the major fighters. These in the heavyweight division. These guys are, in my opinion, the gatekeepers. The truth of the matter is Joe Joyce is, and I know I said the same thing about Zili Zhang or Zhang, but this guy is slow. I mean, when you start looking at these other fighters, KBL, I love this guy, non-stop action. You get him in there. You get a Dubois. You get a Joseph Parker, an Anthony Joshua, Jared Anderson. Even Bakoli, Ajagba is still a work in progress. I mean, you get these guys against a guy like Joe Joyce, who, yeah, he's got some pop, but I could have a sandwich by the time he lets his hand go to throw a punch. I could throw down a sandwich before it reaches the target. And it's the same thing with Zili Zhang. But opponents and styles make fights. Apparently, Deontay Wilder, was perfect for Zhang. Where does he fit in the mix? The computer ranks him all the way down to number 36 now. After those last couple of fights, personally, I hope he retires. So I think the heavyweight division is in a really good place right now. I'm psyched about it. The thing I want to keep going here is we got some momentum in the sport of boxing. We got a pretty decent bunch of cards this weekend that are worthwhile fighting. We got some big fights coming up in August. I can't wait to see my man Terrence Crawford fight again. I can't stand the fact that Errol Spence is fighting Fundora. Somebody had him as a pound for pound fighter I saw on social media recently. And like who in their right mind would put Errol Spence as a pound for pound fighter right now? I mean, everybody anointed this guy the next great thing. And, he's been beaten up by himself and fighters ever since. And he gets an immediate fast track for a title. I think that, to me, that's the biggest travesty in boxing, when you have a promoter that opens up a checkbook with a sanctioning body and they let a fighter weasel in for a title shot before the fighter who's been busting his ass, working his way up the ladder, working in the gym, fighting in the small fights for no money, building himself up, getting himself better and better and better. And, all of a sudden you got somebody with some backing fast tracks to a title fight. To me, that's the worst crime you could have in the sport of boxing. Speaking of boxing, I recently, the reason why we didn't have a show last week, I recently went down to Tampa and was looking at a fighter that we're thinking about signing, and I'll keep you posted on that. And while I was there, we even got a connection with another one. So a couple of talented fighters. One is already a pro. I'm not going to give up any names, but one's already a pro, 6-0 Cuban fighter. And the other one is ready to turn pro, another fighter from Cuba. Both of them look very talented in the ring that I've seen and sparring, but time will tell. But two very promising fighters, one middleweight, one light heavyweight. So I'll keep you all posted on that. All right, I'm going to break down. I know we started a little early today, but it is what it is. The fight that I'm really looking forward to this weekend is the fight between Bam Rodriguez and Juan Francisco Estrada. I mean, what a terrific fight. Now, Bam Rodriguez right now is a 4-1 favorite over Juan Estrada. I can understand it, but on one hand, but on the other hand, I don't. And I'll be breaking it down here in a second. But I got a couple of quotes. Juan Francisco Estrada says, "I was there at his fight with Sonny Edwards. He looked great, but Edwards is a flyweight. It's a different story up at Superfly. At Superflyweight, people are talking about your retirement. I have a lot left. He's 10 years younger, but he didn't look very good at super flyweight before. I want to keep making history." Jesse Rodriguez said, "I've been familiar with Estrada since I was 12 years old." A little dig with the age, I think. "I've been keeping an eye out. To share the ring with him is an honor. It'll be my toughest fight to date. He's been in the game a long time. This is going to be an action-packed fight." He has been in the game a long time. And Juan Francisco Estrada has fought them all and beat them all. Listen, he's got a record of 44 wins and 3 losses, 28 of his wins coming by knockout. Now, he lost to Roman Gonzalez. They fought 3 times. He beat him twice, but he lost the first fight with him, and that was his first loss for a while. He also lost to the guy who beat Gonzalez, Wangak, who's Sir Gizervizerel, which I can't even pronounce his name, but that was he lost to him. And early in his career, back in 2011, he lost to a guy named Juan Sanchez. Those are his 3 losses. Now, he's got with the 28 knockouts of his 44 wins, he's got a 63, almost a 64% KO ratio, eerily similar to Bam Rodriguez. He's 34 years old, like we just mentioned, 10 years older than Bam Rodriguez. He's currently the WBC Superfly weight world champion, but he hasn't competed in a fight. The last fight was 18 months ago. So how he's even kept the title with the WBC, I don't know. He's 5'4", which is exact same height as Bam, and he's got a 1-inch reach disadvantage at 66 inches. Look, he's had 3 great fights with Gonzalez. He had a couple with Wangik, who was also a great fighter who beat Gonzalez. But look, he fought everybody and everybody that was in that weight class. He's got wins over Giovanni Segura, Hernan Marquez, Milan Melindo, Brian Valoria. I mean, the list goes on and on. Juan Estrada has not had an easy rise. This is a guy who's fought everybody in front of him, and he's a quality fighter. Never been stopped. Now he steps in the ring with a new kid on the block, the Phenom, the guy who might be becoming the new El Chocolito, but he's 24 years old, 19-0, 12 knockouts, 63% KO ratio, same height as Estrada, but he's a southpaw. Estrada's an orthodox fighter. He does have the 1-inch reach advantage. Now, he was the IBF and WBA World Flyweight Champion. I believe both of those titles have been vacated by him. He is moving up in weight, but because of his age, I'm not so sure I agree with Estrada on it's a much bigger thing. The computer rates him at number 1 in the world at flyweight, not at superfly. I like that, superfly. Now, his last 5 opponents of his 19 fights were decent opponents. They were all good. He beat Sonny Edwards, which was a great fight. If you guys missed that one and you don't mind going back to rewatch your fight, that's one to fight. EMT Rick says Dubois has been my favorite contender ever since he got robbed against Usyk. I hope he could put it all together against AJ. Rick, I tell you, I like the fight, but I don't like the fight. I know you tuned in a little late. I don't think he's going to be able to beat AJ now, but I think if he would have learned a little more. Remember, he's young. This kid he's like 26 years old. They rushed him too much. His skill set's not developed. In his last fight, he took way too many punches. He's not going to be able to survive that kind of a beating from Anthony Joshua. He needed to work on his defense and his footwork and his head movement, to get him just a little better. He develops a little head movement and, can block half of the punches that he takes. He's going to be a tough out. Anyway, back to Bam Rodriguez. He beat Sonny Edwards. Prior to that, he beat Christian Gonzalez Hernandez in 2023 via a 12-round decision. He beat Israel Gonzalez in September of 22. He beat Wangak, the kryptonite for both El Chocolito. I don't know why I'm calling him El Chocolito. Roman Gonzalez and also Estrada. So he's got a win over him. And Carlos Cudras, he beat as well in 2022. Those are his last 5 fights. This kid comes to fight. He's a lot of action. I love this fight. To me, it's a true 50-50 fight. How the odds makers have Rodriguez as a 4-1 favorite, I don't know. I mean, look, my prediction in this fight, I think Rodriguez is going to win the fight. And the reason why I think Rodriguez is going to win the fight is because I'm not slighting Juan Francisco Estrada one little bit, but this guy has, fought 322 rounds. That's over 220 rounds more than Jesse Rodriguez. And he's been in there, those 322 rounds, probably half of them at least have been with upper echelon opposition. That's a lot of mileage. That's a lot of fighting. And 10 years more of it. I just think, all athletes don't know when to, well, I shouldn't say all. Most superstar athletes don't know when to say when. And I believe that this is going to be a case for Juan Francisco Estrada. If he was fighting El Choco, there I go with the L again. If he was fighting Chocolito again, I'm okay with that. They're similar in age, they're similar in mileage, but as is the case with Jack London's A Piece of Steak, this is a clear case of youth versus age, and I got to go with the youth in this one. So, in any event, hey, listen, boys and girls, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. For all the United States viewers and listeners, be careful next Thursday. We are not doing a show, but be careful. Don't blow your arms off with fireworks. Throw down a hot dog instead. But enjoy your holiday. We will be back the following Thursday. And one last time, I want to remind everyone, I would love to have you guys come and share with me a great accolade that I'll be receiving as part of the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame 2024 class. I'd love to have you join and hang out with you for the day and night. If you got to travel, let me know. I'd love to stay where you're staying. I got to travel. So would love to have you there. Just go to BillyCBoxing.com and you'll see a banner that says that, for the internet, for the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame, and click that, and that'll take you right to Mr. Jack Hirsch, who's the big cheese in charge of it. You can get tickets or you can get information. Russo's on the Bay is where it's being held. It's you're not going to get a better meal. The package includes an open bar from the time you're there until the time you leave, which could be dangerous for Billy C fans. But I want guys like Rick to show up and my man Brett. And I would love John from Don King to come. Everybody, love it. Come on. I know Love It can get on the plane and come over, and Unofficial Official and Papa, all you guys that are in the chat room right now, and Jesus, come on. You've been loyal to me. And if it wasn't for all you guys, I wouldn't even be getting in. So I appreciate it. And I would love to have you join me there. And if you are going to come, drop me an email so I could be looking out for you. And I definitely want to hang with you guys. So anyway, listen, have a great 4th of July for you U.S. Peoples. And for everybody else, be safe out there. Enjoy a week off from me. And most importantly, enjoy the fights this weekend. We got a great slate of fights, especially the one I just broke down. Until then, make sure you tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.